Ladies and gentlemen, we are excited, aren't we, for the new Youthberk and for the new Stora Arena, which has been announced yesterday night. Okay, so as you can see, something is very different from my background. I'm now back in KL. WGP Season 3 is coming soon in KL, and with DBT 13 coming straight into our pockets and our decks and our meta environments in the next coming 2 days or so. WGP Season 3 is the best perfect ground for all of these new cards to come into play and see how they fare in this particular meta. Now, yes, that's what we are kind of excited to see. And whether or not has Youthberk and Jheva have broken from the curse of being the most copium decks? No, I wouldn't say that for Youthberk. Is Jheva finally free from being the most copium deck in Vanguard in this current format? Who knows? Now, to be fair, Youthberk has been dominant in some meta for quite some time previously. And since then, since BT06 or no, since BT7, it hasn't been really topped that much. I think it has been overshadowed by the rest of other decks. Like Gandiva, Willis, Eva, etc. And honestly speaking, will this new Youthberk change things? This would be a huge question mark, right? So that is left for us to see the results of what the DDT 13s will actually try to bring us. Now, before we get straight into the news, I would like to say if you are watching this video right here, right now, I thank you guys for watching, and if you do, like what I'm doing right here, right now, please hit like and subscribe and stay tuned for more. Now, what we have right here is technically Youthberk Revolve Form Full Blast. If some of you doesn't know what the skill yet, which I don't know what you guys, are into, I don't know where have you been hiding for this past week, maybe under a rock. But if you don't know yet, so this is the new Youthberk, which will become new Revolve Form, a new Youthberk which will be coming out in set 13. Now the skill is particularly one that is rather interesting because it has some of the following skills. Although when this unit is placed on the Vanguard Circle by the Remote Dress ability, you counterblast one and perform all the following below according to the names in your soul. If all of the abilities below were performed, all of your units front row gets 15k until the end of turn. So you get a front row power buff. Now what is these things that you need in Revolve Form? Youthberk Full Blast. So if you have Zest, he gets a crit. If you have Gust, he gets one drive. And if you have Tempest, you get to bot deck one of your opponent's graveyard, which is kind of nice, right? It's some people has actually told me that the semblance between Youthberk skill and Unica skill is pretty much similar. I think it's because of the lore, but I think that's that's up for speculation. Not speculation per se. Like it's up to I don't know what they are. Some people saying that they shipped them together, but yes, of course, the new Edgy Knight. This Edgy Knight actually got a new form, so which is kind of nice. Now, some of you and some of us of the players have been wondering this question for quite some time. Now, if you're going to play a lot of Revolve forms, like especially if you're playing Zest, if you're playing like Zest, Tempest, and Gust, 3 of each Revolve forms, as well as the Persona Rights, as well as Full Blast, you will eventually see the problem of breaking, which is of course such argument and such concern is absolutely valid, right? So now what did Fushiro do? Now they kind of released new cards which we'll get into and helps change the entirety, I wouldn't say the entirety, I would say they changed how Youthberk operates if players really wanted to play, max Full Blast in this particular Youthberk deck, right? So of course, let's assume that if you play 4 of the Persona Rights and like 4 of the original Youthberks, including the Persona Right itself, So that's 4 of like Sky Forearms, 4 Full Blast, and then 2 Tempest, 2 Gust, and 2 Zest, which leaves you to have about say 12 slots, which is not that different from the rest of from previous deck lists when Revolve Form is still a thing. People will play 4 Gust, people will play 4 Tempest, people will play 4 of the Persona, right, which amounts to like a total of 12 cards, right? So it's not a huge I think what people are most concerned of is because of like the ratios, and most people are also concerned with how do you want to get into, how do you get these different Revolve Forms into your soul as fast as possible. Now, well, they actually have a solution for that, and now let's we'll get straight into those cards eventually. But also we're also gonna have to talk about Stora Irina, which will be the the cover art from from E13, which means the new crossover dress, and see how it actually fares. Now we are done with Revolve Form for the time being, for Full Blast for the time being as well, and let's get straight into the other news. We have talked about the ban list, we have talked about the encounter cards. Now this is particularly interesting because now Dragon Empire actually have their own grade 2 Dragon Tree Searcher marker, which is Dragon Tree Redshield Lagoon Gimrat. So technically speaking, it's the same thing as all other grade 2 Dragon Tree Searchers. Not Dragon Tree marker generators and Mask Searcher does, which means that when you place on real guard circle, you counter +1, soul +1, and you search your deck for up to 1 Mask of Hydreigon. Okay, and then generate a Dragon Tree marker on one of your rear guard circles that doesn't have the a Dragon Tree marker. So we have now one for every nation up until this point, with the exception of Lyrical Monasterio, because they are not gonna get it, let's face it, honestly. And now this would highlight a lot of speculations. Who's gonna get the Dragon Empire mask, right? So people have been talking about like Eugene mask, which is highly probable at this point, because that's the only viable grade 3 so far that actually has their own forms and not get something else. We might not see Eugene getting the Hexorb treatment. We might possibly see Eugene mask, which is a high probable chance, especially if you see in the previous booster how Eugene gets a little bit of like good support here and there. So it's not out of the question that the Eugene mask might get masked. But then again, it's only pure speculation, so we have to wait and see. And that's about it. And so if we look at the deluxe hot stamp version of the Dragon Empire OT, which would be the day 2 event, and the day 2 of like Championship Deluxe, as well as some of the the t-shirts. And then after that, the qualifiers will be going to the World Championship, right? So this is the Championship Deluxe. So basically speaking, those of those of the players who have won like WGP in the past seasons, as far as I know, as far as I'm getting this information correct, if you did top 4 in the previous WGP seasons, you are eligible to go to Championship Deluxe in 2023 in Japan. So that's how it's supposed to be, and yes, and you have the right to be the entry in that the World's Championship, right? Okay, now that is that for now. So tonight we have like a lot of cards to go through tonight. So actually speaking, let's start with Unica, because Unica we have actually seen some various new supports this time for Unica, which is kind of like warranted at this point because Unica is technically not a very nice deck, but hopefully this will buffer up just a little bit. And so that it is. Now, first off, we have Villainous Chimera. So this is a big one. So this is a common card, but the skill is that once per turn, when this unit is chosen by a card effect by a Vanguard with Owl Majesta in its card name, you Soul Charge 1 and it gets 5k power until the end of turn. So technically, he's going to be a 13k booster, he's going to be a 30k attacker. Of course, if it's chosen by Owl Majesta effects, thanks to you, Soul Blasting 3 critical triggers, or Soul Blasting 3 triggers per se. And then the triggers, for every trigger you soul blasted plus 5k, which means that if you choose this Chimera, it's gonna be like an 18k attacker, 18k booster. So technically this is what it does, and then it can allows you to soul charge one. Now, the power up is definitely welcome, but the soul charge is gonna be a little bit iffy. But then again, I think for those players who are really breaking for for soul charging, for really wanting to soul charging critical triggers, perhaps they might want to clinch on whatever soul charging abilities that they have in order for them to get the crit in the soul. Otherwise, they have to rely on Gungram. Otherwise, they have to rely on Brainwash Swirler. But both of those options are not as bad, So I think Swirler would be technically a much better option. But then again, it's just me. But also, it's a C card. If they want to throw in the current Unicorn deck, I think it's also possible. It's kind of fine as well, After that, we see this new card in the anime itself last Saturday. So technically, this is a Phonograph Opera Star. So this is a Grade 2 double rare, and it's a Unicard exclusive support because it says Al Majestra in its in its support, right? In the text. So this unit is placed on the rear guard circle. If you have a big 3 or greater Al Majestra in its card name, you counter plus 1 and draw 1, which is kind of nice. Because it allows you to draw 1, but then again at the cost of counter plus 1. Not that Unica really needs a lot of counter blast as far as I'm concerned, but that's kind of make good use of whatever counter blast you have, And then during your turn, if your Bind Zone has 2 or more, for every 2 of your critical triggers in your Bind Zone, this unit gets 5k. So let's say if your critical, Bind Zone, critical triggers in your Bind Zone has 4, this is technically, she'll technically get a 10k. If you have 6, she's gonna get a 15k, right? So power got 5k for every 2 critical triggers in your Bind Zone, which is kind of nice. It also helps, very helpful, especially in Baiko Master's turn, because you can withstand herself. You can attack a Phonograph and then you use Baiko Master's skill to withstand her, and then gets the 5k as well. 15k power buff. Let's say the 5k power buff, provided you have for every 2 critical triggers in Bind Zone, right? So which is kind of nice. Phonograph gets the huge power buff that you needed. And not to mention that she actually helps you to draw 1, right? Now, for this one, this is Unicard support, and now we are moving into the Unicard support, and not the Unicard support, for the Youthberk support as well. Now, so this is technically the solution as to how people will play Youthberk in the near future, as they really want to max out full blasts, the maximum output, the maximum capacity of how running this card, right? So in general, we have what we have seen right here is Reach of Extinguishment Fregosa. So Fregosa is a Grade 2, she's a double rare, and she has this particular following skill. When this unit is placed on the rear guard circle, if you have a Vanguard with Youth in its card name, you Soul Blast 1 and choose one Rebel form from your deck or from your drop zone, up to one Rebel form, or up to one Rebel form from your deck or your drop zone, and put it into your soul. And if you have 3 or more different Rebel forms in the card name in your soul, you Soul Blast 1 and draw 1, which is good for several reasons. We'll get straight into that. And then the second skill, when your Vanguard with the Overdress ability is placed, and during this turn, this unit gets plus 5k power. Now this is actually quite nice as well, because so this is, technically speaking, she will be a 50k attacker, but what she does is that she helps you do a few things, right? First off, she helps you to filter out all of your your important rebel forms from your drop zone, and preferably from the drop zone, or preferably from your deck, or from your drop zone, and shove it into the soul, right? And if you have 3 or more types of reroll form in card names in your soul, you can Soul Blast that one that does not have a reroll form in its card name. Yeah, you have to Soul Blast 1. Okay, this is the one part that I kind of missed out. If you have 3 or more types with reroll form in card names in the soul, you Soul Blast 1 reroll card that does not have reroll form, and you get to draw 1, which is kind of nice. Now, then again, this is help you to how you say this, this is help you to shove in as fast as possible all of your different reward forms into your soul. And if you are very fast enough, then you can able to draw one, right? So, and also kind of like saying that in particular circumstances, if you want to throw the grade 3 for your right for your discarding, right, for your right discards, you can actually try to use Vergosa to help you replenish that particular soul, which is also kind of nice. Now some people also like resort to playing Drilling Angel, which is also not not impossible to do it as well. It's also a good alternative, it's also a better option. But of course, Drilling Angel doesn't really get a power up much, but this one can help you actually tries to filter out in a much more better way, and it allows you to draw. So yes, Vergosa is technically a very nice card to play in in this rebel form in this new Youthberk, right? And also I would want to mention that this you can already proc this by the time that you're in your youth is in like Youthberk is in like grade 2, right? Because if you play the Youthberk right line, the grade 1 is a youth, the grade 2 is a youth, so you can technically just spam this out by the time that you're on your grade 2 youth your Vanguard, right? So it's actually kind of nice for this card to be played at such an early game and try to solve like a lot of issues of not having of like not constantly rebel dressing a lot and finally reaching full blast by the time you're at turn 5 or turn 6, right? Let's put it that way, right? For example, okay, so this is technically a very nice card for Vergosa is technically a nice addition to Youthberk. And for I can understand that some players they might say that okay, it's not really necessary if I'm not playing with full blast. Technically they are correct in some sense, because if this deck build, this deck build is mostly geared towards like a full blast build. But of course, it's if they don't want to play that full blast build, I mean like most people will play the full blast build. Let's assume that there are some people out there that doesn't really want to play full blast. They can probably say that I don't want to play this card, and that's totally fine, right? But then again, Youthberk has a new form, has a new reward, has a new reward form. So I don't see a particular reason why you will not do that. And this helps you to fill in like helps you to keep on rebel dressing to full blast as much as possible. For 4 turns straight. Okay, if you play 4 full blast, you might just do it, right? So I mean that's kind of nice. So that's that. And now this is Corurino. So this is the grade 1 double rare for youth support. Now this is her skill, and this is rather interesting. Auto skill during your turn, when this card is placed on the rearguard circle or discarded from your hand, when this unit is placed on the rearguard circle from your deck, by the way, or discarded from your hand, if you have a Vanguard with youth in its card name, you search your deck or your drop zone for up to 1 card with reward form in its card name, reveal it and add it to your hand. And if you search your deck, shuffle your deck. If you added the card to your hand, you choose 1 card from your hand and put it into your soul. Now this fixes a lot of problems as well. It's technically doing the same filtering and rebel increase your rebel form in your souls as fast as possible, because it's doing the same thing as like Vergosa. But the best thing is that she's a grade 1, which means that you can already proc her by the time that you're riding on your first grade 1 youth right line. So which is also kind of nice, right? It is discarded from your hand if you're youth. You search your drop zone, or your deck, which is also nice, and put it into your card, add it to your hand, and if you add the card to your hand, then you can just have, shove in whatever card that you're searching for and call it a day, right? So why not, right? So technically it's a good card, it's not a bad card. And now this Youthberk is actually not copium level, so I think that's about it. Alright, now after that we have the new Stora Marina grades, the prayer dragon, sorry. Okay, so we have technically like a lot of prayer dragons to go through. There is a total of 4 prayer dragons in this set. I have no idea why they want pump up this much, especially when if you're building like Jheva at this point, like Vanguard Jheva at this point, there are like you will always break in like a lot of certain situations, and some prayer dragons are arguably more better than the others. For example, Garuda Mirror. But then again, I'm not complaining. I'm here to explain to you some of this what they actually do, right? So this is for the first one. This is a common card, so this is a great one common card for Jheva support / Stora Varina support, you can call it. Blazing Heavenly Break Equipped Dragon combo deck. So the skill is that continuous. All of these cards auto dress. Auto dress means that if you overdress the most outer one, which means that you're Byrinus. Okay, long story short. All of these cards auto dress gets auto Vega Circle when this unit attacks. Choose one of your opponent's Vanguard, and this unit gets plus 2k for each of that unit breaks until the end of battle. So technically speaking, in the most direct way possible, if let's say for example, if your opponent is like grade 10, is a Griffo Gira, so technically speaking, plus 2k is going to be like plus 20k. So assuming that if you are like cross dressing to Stora Varina, then Stora Varina will be swinging for like around like 53k. So that's technically what Kalmodak essentially does in the best case scenario, that if you're fighting a Griffo Gira, right? Okay. Yeah, so that's it. And then we have Nandika. And so this is a great tool, and it's also a C card if I'm not mistaken. And the skill is that Blazing Heavenly Spearhead Equipped Dragon Nandika. And when this card becomes the original dress, okay, when you like overdress on top of it, you so +1, you choose one of these cards of the dress, which means that you choose your Myrina, and it gets continuous Vega Circle during the battle when this unit attack. If your opponent will call from their hand to Guardian Circle, they have to call 2 or more at the same time until the end of turn. So essentially, TLDR, this card is basically Gauro Myrina, right? And apply it to the new, Stora Myrina. And I think this is actually kind of nice, right? Because in essentially a sense, this card is also not as really useless as most people might think. Because if you use this card as a form of like, as one of the original dress for some other cards such as like Wild Arena, right? So which is kind of forces your opponents to guard 2 or more at the same time, but also allows you to have like drive checking, for example, or say that Brahm Arena, which like technically swinging for you at like 33k, and have to force your opponent to guard 2 or more at the same time. But then again, 33k is also like a very magic number, like not a super magic number, because like 33k, it just requires you to just dish out like 115k and 110k, or like 215ks, and that's enough. But like say for example, in like those particular situations that you really want to force your opponent to guard a 33k attacker with like a 15k and a 5k, that gets a little bit awkward. So that's why they have to like dish out the more larger or bigger shoots from your opponent early game on. So I think this is technically a very nice card. Not to mention in that if you can play this in like you can also technically like use this as an original dress for like what else? Mirrors Myrina, for example. I think this is also like kind of nice as well. But then it's not. I don't think that's like the most optimal play. I think the most optimal play is that you play this in like Bao Arena, Brown Arena, or Garo Arena, but Garo Arena does the same thing, Veers Arena or something like that, and this new Stora Arena, right? So that's that's about it. And yeah, so that's what Nandika does. And technically speaking, now what we have right here, we have the new double rare grade 1 prayer dragon. Also this one for the purpose of crossover dressing. So blazing heavily / equipped dragon Dorahas and Rahas. Okay, so when this unit is placed on the rear guard circle, if you have a Vanguard with the runner in this card name, you counterblast 1, you retire 1 other rear guard, okay, which is kind of funny. You search your deck or drop zone for a total of up to 2 cards with blazing heavily in the card names. They have different card names for each other. And from this unit, call them to the rearguard circle as rest, and if you search your deck, you shuffle your deck. If you retire a rearguard in the crossover dress state for this cost, you draw 1. So this is technically a rather interesting card per se, because the fact that he has to retire 1 in, like, especially if you are retiring in crossover dress state for technically calling out 2 different prayer dragons that with the blazing heavenly names. For example, you have like Nandika is a a blazing heavenly N10 in Japanese. You have Kamoda. So technically speaking, what this card is supposed to do is that TLDR, you just you place on Vanguard, if your Vanguard is Nirvana, you just 100+1 retire across all the unit, and then you just call these two and call these two out as rest, and then you get to draw one if you retire across all the unit. So this deck, not this deck, this card is particularly weird for me because I don't see this reason why would you do that unless you could say that you can use the rested cards as one of the materials for your like crossover dressing, or otherwise you say that if you want to retire the crossover dress because that they might need to make space for like the new Virina in order for it to be crossover dress as easily, or make a space. But then again, I feel like this card is a little bit weird for my taste because I don't understand why they want to do that. But then again, calling them as rest has a particular purposes. Has a particular purpose which we will get straight into that after that because of after revealing draw cards. So the most and after that we have like this one. As also technically speaking, Torakas can also like call this new card as well, which is Apparegia. So a blazing heavenly render equipped dragon Apparegia. So this is the grade 2 double. This is double rare. This is a triple rare prayer dragon, which is kind of interesting, right? So when this unit is placed on the radar circle other than from the deck, okay, so you have to call it from your hand, or so you have to call it from the hand. You soul last one, discard one card from your hand, you search up your deck for up to one prayer dragon, you call it to regular circle and shuffle your deck. So this is to avoid to spam, or not spamming, it's like basically like say spam calling. Because like you can only call Apparegia from other than from the deck. So let's say if she say that Apparegia doesn't have that particular restriction, then you can do like 4 times, right? If you have the soul and then you have to discard 4. I don't know why you want to do that, but that's okay. Then you call it to regular circle and shuffle your deck, and then when this unit becomes an original dress, okay, so this is important. You draw one, you choose one unit in this card's outfield dress, and then it cannot be chosen by opponent's card abilities until the end of opponent's next turn. So which is kind of nice. This is also a nice target material for crossover dressing besides Garura Mirror and what else? What other good Stragario can also be like a very good target for crossover dressing, and in addition to this one, this would be the a new option for like crossover dressing with it as a material for it for your prayer dragons, and for giving Stora Virina resist. Okay, and you get to draw one, and that's also kind of nice as well. So I would say this is a pretty good prayer dragon. Then this other two, like it's pretty weird, but I would say that this would be also kind of like okay-ish. This one is really weird. I don't think people will play this card. Okay, so people will play this card in certain situations. People might play this card in some certain situations, but this one is probably also a very good card that people might cross over dress the material with, right? So which is quite nice. Now the highlight of tonight is, technically speaking, what we have right here is Blazing Holy Sword equipped Stora Virina. Now as usual, this card has like crossover dress ability, but this time round, as per the tradition, or as per the norm, if you cross over dress, you usually require one Trickstar and one Trickstar and one prayer dragon. But in this case, you can have one. You only have like one Trickstar, and you have different names prayer dragon. 2 or more, and at any number at all, right? So which is pretty interesting because you can combine like the effects of some of the previous prayer dragons as well. With different card names, and with different card names, in more or more, right? So technically speaking, you can cross over dress material with this one, or with this one, or with this one, or with like say for example, Garura Mirror, Stragario is also kind of like the materials for you to be crossover dressed into Stora Virina, which is kind of nice, which means that the previous ability of your some of the prayer dragons will be applied to this one as well. So 2 to guard, draw 1, power, etc. So it's also kind of nice, right? So this is that's the first skill. The second skill, the front row radar skill. During your turn, if this unit is in crossover dress state, this unit gets 10k power, and your Nirvana Vanguard will get triple drive and plus 10k. Now, finally giving Jheva the proper pressure it needs and not plunging it and keeping it in the status quo of being the most copium deck in D. Right? I don't know if that's the most copium deck in D, but I don't know. Jheva is absolute shit, but giving Jheva a triple drive and plus 10k power is actually probably a very good, buff for Jheva as well, because technically making Jheva like Maha Nirvana because of the triple drive and plus the 10k power, so which is technically very nice, right? And so the last skill, when this unit when this unit is restood in the crossover state by the Vanguard's ability, if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, you counter +1, and if you stand all of your talisman or your prayer dragons, all of them, you stand all of them, and if your original dress is 5 or more, you remove all of your opponent's markers and retire all of your opponent's radar circles. So which is kind of interesting because this deck was meant to counter Youthberk in a particular sense, which is kind of weird and awesome at the same time. Now, the retiring all of the opponent's radar is technically definitely welcome, but the ones that the removing marker is kind of a little bit niched, and a little bit niche for certain situations, because it's not all the time that you will get to remove the markers, but in particular situations that if you're fighting against like Zorga or like any other master decks, for example, this might be particularly very useful, because in the case of Zorga, if you remove one of the Dragon Tree markers, which means that they cannot use Q Severing, which means that you shut down their 4th attack. And then like you have like some other I don't know, like you can also at most for the rest of the other master decks, you just at top you can only like remove their 5k power buff, and that's about it. Now, is it a good card per se? I would say it's a good card, right? Not only it gives Jheva the triple drive and the power plus, and it can also gives you like the restand as well, which means that there's technically what you call a multi-attacker deck. So technically speaking, Jheva can do like about like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 attacks. Now Jheva can do 5 attacks with triple drive. Stand of your talisman or prayer dragon mega, so which is kind of good at the same time, because there's like a lot of good prayer dragons nowadays. So you have to probably at this point fill your entire decks with like a lot of prayer dragons, which means one thing, which means that nowadays if you're playing a Jheva player, you are more decentralized. You're more decentralized into saying that playing some of the original dress units, for example, Arcs, Expector, etc. Right? Nobody plays Expector in Jheva anyways, right? So at most they will only have to play like Arcs. So this is technically what it's supposed to be. Decentralized players to play Arcs and play full build crossover dress units. No more Cat in Prayer, no more Varina Arcs. So everything is just gonna be like pure prayer dragons and pure trick moons, not trick moons, trick stars, and the crossover dress units, right? So it's actually essentially a very good card for in its own rights. But then again, whether or not will this fix Jheva is yet to be seen. Hopefully we will see the actual strength of the cards in the coming tournaments, and during play testing and whatsoever. And I want to actually like see how will this actually help lift Jheva up from copiumland. So time will tell, but yeah, that's technically very nice. Retire of opponent's triggers is also definitely welcome, right? So after that, after the news, we have some of the SEC arts that we will be getting in DD 13. So we have Lianon, with Ashe, we have Alden with Jinky, and then you have Avagandar with Richter with Sam Fredson, and then after that we have the Stora Vairima with Yu, and then after that we have Full Blast with Ranka. So almost all of the characters in this anime in this season will get an SEC of their own. Christ in Haruka and and the Shinobu, because Green Mask and Garvidia Mask doesn't get their SECs, which is a bit sad, but okay, these are the main characters and besides anyways, right? If Michiru, I mean like Michiru did get his SEC before, right? I might be wrong, but yeah, he did. With graduate mask. So yeah, I mean all of them technically got their own mask form already. And then after that, next stream will feature support for carry as well as the generic triple rare, grade 3 triple rare. I will assume it's supposed to be the grade 3 one. And then for the next week stream, we have Shota Aoi or Aoi Shota, the voice actor for Yu Yu. So yes, that will be then the news for next week. Alright, so after that, and that's about it. So that's all for the news tonight. Alright, so how do you guys feel about tonight's news? Will we finally see Youthberk getting lifted, get a rise in the meta? Is Jheva finally free from copiumland? What do you think, right? So list down your opinions in the comment section down below, and we'll see you guys next time on tomorrow's night's news stream, which will definitely not be long. I'm pretty sure there will be something really interesting for something else, And that's about it. I'll see you guys on the next video. This has been Professor Enox 095 signing out. Bye bye, and see you in WGP for those of you who are joining. And I'll see you guys. Goodbye.